This is the most dangerous invasive plant growing in the United States right now. There is a very good chance it is already within walking distance of your home. Poison hemlock has now spread to every single state except Hawaii. It is moving faster than at any point in modern history, and as few as 6 leaves can kill a fully grown adult. No antidote exists. The plant goes by the scientific name Conium maculatum. You might recognize it by one of its deceptively innocent nicknames: poison parsley, California fern, or devil's bread. It belongs to the carrot family, which makes it absolutely terrifying. It looks nearly identical to several plants people eat regularly, including fennel, chervil, anise, and wild parsley. Poison hemlock should not be confused with water hemlock, which is even more toxic and grows in wetter habitats, or giant hogweed, which causes severe burns rather than systemic poisoning. A husband and wife in their mid-40s once picked what they thought was wild celery from a regional park. They added it to their dinner. Within 2 hours, the woman stopped breathing. She never recovered. Here is what makes this even scarier. This plant was not always everywhere. 30 years ago, it was relatively rare, according to researchers at Ohio State University. Today, authorities from Tennessee to Montana to Indiana and to Washington State are issuing urgent public warnings because poison hemlock is exploding across the country. In Indiana alone, it has been confirmed in all 92 counties. It thrives in ditches, roadsides, pastures, creek beds, trails, and yes, neighborhood parks and yards. So how did we reach this point? Poison hemlock arrived from Europe to the United States in the 1800s. It was marketed as an ornamental garden plant called winter fern, prized for its delicate white flowers. People planted it on purpose. They thought it was beautiful. For over a century, it stayed mostly contained. But in the last 5 years, everything changed. Each single plant produces up to 40,000 seeds. Those seeds remain viable in the soil for up to 6 years, just waiting for the right conditions. Water and animals spread them everywhere, creating a ticking time bomb that is now exploding across the country. Joe Boggs, an assistant professor at Ohio State University's Extension Service, has witnessed the surge firsthand. The combination of massive seed output, lack of public awareness, and insufficient removal efforts by property owners and highway crews has allowed poison hemlock to reach a critical mass. By the time most people notice the towering plants along their fence line, it is already too late. The seeds have dropped. The cycle continues. Let's talk about what this plant actually does to you, because the mechanism of death is genuinely horrifying. Poison hemlock contains piperidine alkaloids, the most dangerous being conine and its precursor gamma-conosine. When you ingest it, conine attacks your neuromuscular junctions, the connections that allow your brain to control your muscles. It poisons them one by one. Your coordination fails, your pupils dilate. Trembling begins. Then the alkaloids reach your respiratory muscles. The muscles you use to breathe simply stop responding to your brain's commands. You suffocate while fully conscious. Symptoms can begin in as little as 15 minutes. Death can follow within 2 to 3 hours. The lethal dose for an adult human is between 150 and 300 milligrams of conine. That translates to roughly 6 to 8 leaves, about 6 grams of plant material. For livestock, it is even worse. 3 ounces of green leaves can kill a sheep. Cattle and horses can die from ingesting as little as 0.25% of their body weight in fresh plant material. It's not just eating it that poses a risk. The plant's toxins absorb through skin contact, particularly in sensitive individuals. Its pollen, when inhaled, can also cause adverse reactions. Even the hollow stems retain deadly concentrations of alkaloids for up to 3 years after the plant dies. There are documented cases of children making whistles from those hollow stems and dying from the exposure. Let that sink in. A child picks up a dead stick, puts it to their lips, and it kills them. The danger extends even further through something called secondary poisoning. A case report from Italy documented 11 people who were poisoned not by touching or eating hemlock directly, but by consuming small birds and rabbits that had eaten hemlock buds. The toxins persisted even after the animals had been frozen for storage. poison hemlock's alkaloids can also pass into milk when livestock feed on sublethal amounts, contaminating dairy products consumed by humans. Now let me help you identify this plant because that knowledge could genuinely save your life or your child's life. Poison hemlock is a biennial, meaning it takes 2 years to fully mature. In its first year, it forms a low rosette of fern-like leaves close to the ground. In its second year, it sends up tall flowering stalks that can reach 8 to 12 feet in height. The key identification feature is the stem. Poison hemlock stems are smooth, completely hairless, hollow, and covered in distinctive red or purple spots and streaks. This is the single most reliable way to tell it apart from lookalikes. Queen Anne's lace, which it closely resembles, has a hairy stem. Hemlock does not. Fool's parsley, another deadly lookalike in the carrot family, lacks the distinctive stem spotting entirely. There is also the smell. Crush a leaf and poison hemlock gives off an unpleasant odor, frequently described as musty or like mouse urine. If you encounter a tall, white-flowering plant along a roadside or in a field, and the stem is smooth with purple blotches, stay away from it. So what do you do if you find it on your property? The Indiana Department of Natural Resources and Purdue Extension recommend wearing gloves, long sleeves, protective eyewear, and a mask when handling the plant. Young plants can be carefully dug out. Herbicides like glyphosate, triclopyr, or 2,4-D work effectively when the plant is still in its rosette stage during the first year. Once you have removed it, place it in a plastic trash bag and discard it with regular trash. Do not compost it. Do not put it in yard waste. And critically, do not burn it. Burning poison hemlock releases the toxins into the air, creating a potentially lethal inhalation hazard. Chris Shaner, a ranch manager in cattle country, has made early spring hemlock spraying a non-negotiable part of his operation. As he puts it, poison hemlock is the first plant that turns green in the fields each spring, often appearing before anything else. That early emergence is your window to kill it before it matures and drops another 40,000 seeds into your soil. This plant has been killing people for a very long time. In 399 BCE, the philosopher Socrates was executed in Athens after drinking a cup of poison hemlock. He was 70 years old, convicted of impiety and corrupting the youth. He drank the poison while surrounded by friends in his prison cell. The Victorians even used hemlock in the language of flowers to mean, "You will be the death of me." Native Americans used its juice to poison arrow tips. Today, authorities across the country are sounding alarms louder than ever. Dan Shaver from Indiana's Natural Resources Conservation Service put it plainly, the movement of this plant into neighborhoods and parks means more chances for children to play with it and dogs to eat it. This is not a plant you want anywhere near your home. If you or someone you know has been exposed to poison hemlock, go to an emergency room immediately or call Poison Control at 1-800-222-1222. There is no antidote, but hospital treatment with respiratory support can save lives if administered quickly enough. The most dangerous plant in America was invited here on purpose, planted in gardens because it looked pretty. Now it is in 49 states, producing millions of seeds, and most people still cannot identify it. Learn what it looks like. Teach your kids. Check your property this weekend, because this is one weed you absolutely cannot afford to ignore.